So we'll wrap things up with a move that kind of went under the radar, I thought, but I think it's one to keep an eye on without a doubt. And it's in the SEC here is Harrison Bailey, quarterback, former top 10 recruit, or I should say top 10 quarterback recruit, is a Florida Gator. And he's been around the map now here. So he started his career at Tennessee, then went to UNLV, and then from UNLV went to Louisville, had a really good showing in their bowl game, at the Sun Bowl here, and now it looks like he's landing as the backup quarterback. You would expect that they're not going to have a real quarterback battle in Gainesville this year with DJ Lagway, but it's a really interesting case with Bailey. Just looking at his path, because hasn't really had the full-time job anywhere, but his numbers aren't all that bad. It's not like he's throwing a ton of interceptions or anything like that. Big guy, 6'4", 6'5", good arm. I mean, why do you think it just hasn't clicked? Has it just been a wrong fit, wrong time sort of situation for him?
He's kind of crossed paths with some pretty good quarterbacks, but I don't get it, quite frankly, to take and look, first of all, if you're the Florida Gators, tremendous move. After you lose Purdy to Wake Forest, someone who, it's hard to sell a starting job when you have DJ Lagway, right? So a guy like Purdy who wants to start, you're not going to get him because you have your starter, DJ Lagway. He's going to be one of the most, exciting talents here in this 25 season, and he'll be projected with every kind of Heisman list, all SEC lists, you name it. So to get a starting caliber quarterback with that person in place is going to be difficult, as we saw with Purdy, who didn't want to be the backup, goes to Wake Forest. To shift to Bailey, home run for the Florida Gators, who we saw this year, really we've seen the last few years. They have played their backup quarterback quite a bit due to injury and other factors, and there's been limited success. So you're very happy to have a guy like Harrison Bailey. That's from the Gator perspective. But just looking at the player, I really don't get it. So you look at his 2020 season, right? He's with Tennessee, so SEC caliber competition. Goes against Vanderbilt. I'm just looking at the games where he had over 15 attempts, right? The games where he really threw the football. Vanderbilt, 14-18, 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Pretty good. Florida, the team he just transferred to, 14-21, 111 yards, 66%, 1 touchdown. Not the most, downfield passing attack, but he was accurate within the game plan in that limited opportunity. Then really doesn't get another opportunity till you go to UNLV, his game against Nevada, 16-27, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick. Not terrible. I mean, you could win with that. Then you fast forward here to 24. He's at Louisville. He's behind Tyler Shuck, who NFL caliber quarterback, plays at Washington. Shuck sits out the bowl game because he's getting ready for the NFL. Bailey plays against Washington, wins 35-34, 16-25, 164 yards, not blowing you away from a yardage standpoint, but 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. His rating, his QBR 92.1, his rating 158. So that's really all the games that he's played as the predominant starter, right? Over 15 attempts. You see the size. His release to me is a little awkward. It doesn't look like the most natural and easy release, but I mean, this is a big quarterback that can throw, and he's been in good systems. I mean, he's been with Jeff Brom as good as it gets from a coaching standpoint. So I think a great pickup for Florida.
And I'll say this, we're talking about the physical stuff, but it tells me something at the quarterback position. We see guys transfer, and we see guys transfer sometimes multiple times, and it's not because of a talent thing. You see Harrison Bailey's transferred. Now this is 4th school, and he's still getting looks from big-time programs. It tells me that, because remember, when we talk about this transfer stuff, the film is one thing, but these coaches are doing a lot of background research on, the character of the kid. What are they in the locker room? What is he as a leader? And this is a guy who's going to be your backup quarterback, right? Most likely. This is a guy who's going to have to be an example setter in the locker room. It tells me a lot that Florida, a guy who hasn't played all that much, he could have had sour grapes. And I don't know the situation. Maybe there is at a certain spot, and I'm just unaware of it. But for him to continue to get these looks tells me the character checks out in a big way. And I think that is a big positive if you're a Gator fan.
Yeah, the character, the experience. He's got underrated athleticism too. Had a 4.39 shuttle in high school. Again, I think this is a guy who probably should have been playing at the G5 level, the lower power 4 level as a starter. But again, great move for the Gators. For Bailey, I'm just surprised that it didn't materialize into a place where he could start. Looking at the Gators transfer portal class as a whole, I have to say, if you would have asked me a few months ago, I would have said their portal class is going to be huge. Their high school class is going to be rough. Their high school class ended up being very good, a top 10 class. So they made a huge surge there. You get Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown, two of the very best receivers in Florida, two of the very best receivers in the country to play with the DJ Lagway. You got Ben Hanks, one of the best corners in America, who could be a day one type starter. So you did very, very well at the high school level. Portal has been lighter than I expected. You add J. Michael Sturdivant from UCLA, who's a really, really talented wide receiver. He's going to play a lot. Beyond that, you get Kofi Asare from UMass, Michael Caraway from Southern Miss, and then you got a punter from Michigan. So smaller class than I anticipated, given that you had the momentum with DJ Lagway. You did lose a lot in the portal if you're the Gators, right? We talk about defensive players, particularly in the front seven, going out the door, Pyburn, Searcy, several others that you just, that went to major programs and they just felt that there was a better opportunity. Now you're going to play very good defense. You were playing very good defense at the end of the year. You're anticipating continuing to play that caliber of defense. They're definitely trending in the right direction. But again, as I pull up this list in the portal, I mean, you lost a lot of talent up front, guys that you were counting on. Justice Boone, who didn't have a huge year as expected, but he goes to Arkansas. I mentioned TJ Searcy, Kelby Collins as well. Those guys are going to Alabama, Texas A&M, big schools. Pyburn going to LSU. Of course, Jakeem Jackson following Coach Raymond over there to LSU, one of your better corners. So I think the Gators will be fine. But for a team that has top 10 aspirations, I think you're going to see a much bigger post-spring portal window, because this portal window was not as voluminous as I expected. And maybe some of that is because you're counting on these high school guys to play a big role for you.
Yeah, I think Bailey was a nice piece to add to the roster late here in the cycle, because if you didn't add him, it might have been a dicey situation there. You would have been relying on some young guys as your backups in the spring. They probably would have added someone post, but you always want your quarterback there in the spring so that he can learn the offense and get with the skill position guys.
Yeah, no, listen, quarterback room, I'd say LSU with Garrett Nussmeier and Michael Van Buren in the SEC. You got to put this quarterback room right up there with them. With these two guys, you feel good about both these guys starting SEC games. And with Lagway, chance to be one of the best players of the country, one of the faces of college football based on his physical ability and upside.
We're keeping things moving here on Group Chat Football Live. The college football season's over, but the off season is the fun part. And that's what we have covered for you guys here every day on Group Chat Football Live, Monday through Friday as we go live. We appreciate everyone who was on with us today. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, get in those comments, ask questions. We appreciate everyone who's interacting with us live here as always, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.